Hello and welcome to the Confidence Mastery podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Bailey. Today we have Gary Goldsmith joining us. Thank you very much for joining us today, Gary.
Dab.
For those of you listening and who aren't watching the video, Gary has a bit of dirt on his shirt. He's a Chelsea fan, unfortunately. And as you know, I am at Millwall. However, Gary has an amazing story. He has a lot to share. And he also knows one of my business partners, Gerald Ratner. So I thought it would be great to get you on to have a conversation, not about football, but about you and your life and your business. So please feel free to give yourself a little introduction to our listeners.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. My eyes were as red as your hair today, but please leave the shirt alone. It's nice being this side of the podcast for a bit because I've been doing one. I did one with Gerald. So this is my favourite subject because it's all about me. I think I'm probably best known, one for being around in recruitment now for nearly 40 years, man and boy. I had an argument with someone yesterday who said it was much easier back in my day. I said, yes, you try and find the company's email address in Moscow. It's all right today. You try it back then. We have to make up an advert. So 40 years in recruitment, learned my craft. I went out to learn to be the person I wanted to be. So during times of recession, I used and abused some people to skill myself up to be that person. After also, they still take the piss about this at RDLC, at S3. I just basically lied across my CV. I was a junior tennis pro. How would you be a junior pro at anything? It was quite easy to turn Fs into Bs when you put your A-level results. So we still do talk about that. So I came from pretty humble stock, ended up joining S3. They were 6 years old, doing £3 million. And in my first 6 years, we got to £258 million. So, draw your own conclusions, but contract does bring revenue and profit. So I bought a lot of people I love very much, very nice houses, including 4 wives. I took my 40s off. So that was my present to myself. Managed to travel the world, get on the front pages of the news of the world with a fake shake. What idiot gets done by the fake shake? I was being fed lots of steak lunches by people asking me how we did it, what we did, and what was the secret sauce. Mm-hmm. So I just tried to monetize my friends. So one of my passions in life is taking money off my friends. So in every house I used to have a fruit machine that was clicked to do not pay out. So that will tell you a little about me. So now I'm doing the RDLC, which is an advisory group, helping recruitment CEOs do better, maximize their shareholder value and get themselves to an exit if they want that. I'm also building some apps. I'm doing a podcast, and I'm probably busier now than I was when I was running a PLC. And when I say running a PLC, because if Russell Clements ever sees this, he just shouts at me and say, "Oh, it was just you, was it?" There were 6 of us, and we all played our part. It was just I was the best. There we go, just for Russell.
Do you think that you're happier now than you were back then?
God, no. Oh, it was just the best of times. It's almost like one of those things that you have a nice curry, you always want to reinvent that moment, that first time you had a curry. I'm almost chasing that perfect moment with the perfect team doing the perfect thing at the perfect time, because we had that at S3. I mean, the growth was phenomenal, and it was just so much fun working with really bright people who challenged me every day. I mean, quite often the phrase was, "Gary, it's not your train set anymore." So when you're working with a collective of really bright people who are just fun, all Spurs fans, but always just funny. We are still best mates. I've just come back from a trip to Saint-Tropez with Bill, Simon and Russell. So some of the other founders, Gary Eldon, Shuna Whitmer-Atney, there's loads of us, David Thompson, Richard Howman. There was a big collective. I had the best of times at the best of moments, and we still talk about the first ever business trip we did. We went to Seville, and we still talk about that today. Am I happy today? I'm happier probably than I've ever been since then. So I'm just challenging myself. I think I'm better in what I do in terms of advisory and NED work,
Mm.
because my interest in other stuff. So I'm not just totally absorbed by one thing. And that's nice to get a decent insight to how other businesses work, how other things work, and still keep chasing myself. And just, you know, if I can be a bit better than I was yesterday, I'll be all right with that. But it depends on if the pub's open.
No, I like that a lot. I think one of the things that's often overlooked is, are you happy? Like, yeah, you're successful, you're doing this, you're doing that. But unless you're enjoying what you're doing, like, really, what is the point in life? And that's one of the things I really like to address. And it's nice to hear your view on that.
So, funny enough, my daughter just got a job working for a business that measures people's happiness.
Oh,
So, unbelievable. So, Darren Ryan was a really good mate. The business app is called Hapstar. It's a way by which you can actually put in anonymous information about what you're feeling today, and it prompts you with ideas. And funny enough, Lula got that job because she's a psychology student at Newcastle, just completed her brilliant degree, very proud. And she came to me with an idea of building a journal for our members, because journaling really helps you just like organize your thoughts. And one of the things about being a CEO, we are flighty, we are magpies, all shiny over there. No one ever finishes a job. But we basically give ourselves the excuse that we're starters, not finishers. But actually, doing little things and ticking off that box, I still write lists about lists, and you got to write a task, tick it if you start it, and then put a G if I finished it. And I have to do that with my non-negotiables every day. So happiness for me is achieving stuff. So I don't, work-life balance for me is not about staying at home and watching the rain. It's about going to work, working like an absolute dog with a sense of achievement and purpose. And when I take that mood home, I'm a much happier person than I was just because I got to walk the dog. So it's understanding what work-life balance genuinely means, because I think the world has got it fucking screwed and they're not doing it.
I would agree with that. Most people say work-life balance. What is that? What's your idea of work-life balance?
I'm okay. Everyone's going to see my nuts now. And by the way, everybody in business I know has done well is slightly nuts, and this is part of mine. I work 7 days a week. I always have. Saturday's a bit of an admin day. Sunday's my prep day, so that when I go into the office on a Monday, I'm not faffing around. I'm there. I'm first one in the business, always. I'm first one out of the business, always. And if I need to do work, I'll do it at home in the evening. But I generally will spend some time in the pub talking to people about life, what's going on, knowing that. No, we had a lot of staff. I had 2,500 staff. I knew pretty much everybody's name, all of their partners. What if they get a big check? What they do next? So I would balance myself to do that. And yeah, so I'm 9 years into a startup, and I'm not stopping until I make £1 million a year. And at that point, I know it's not a startup anymore. And then I'll carry on doing it again because I love it.
That's a really interesting take on it. So people often say start up, scale up. Like, where does it interchange? Why is it £1 million a year for you?
So you got to pick a number, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So it just made sense to me that I think if I'm earning £1 a year, then it's a nice thing to do. And it reminds me back in the glory days at S3, because that's what we were all earning. So it was, you know, it's a long journey to get back there, and £1 million doesn't mean as much as it does now. As Gerald says, back in the days when £1 billion was a lot of money. Did you know that 1 million seconds is 12 days? But did you know that 1 billion seconds is 32 years?
It's crazy, isn't it? Such a difference.
Big leap, but it's a massive leap. I'm just putting, you've got to score yourself somehow. And if I don't set myself personal challenges and milestones and triggers, well, what's the point? And what was I've had a great day. Based on what?
Basically,
I didn't eat falafel today. It's been a good day. Yeah,
I'm a big believer in goals and deadlines and celebrating the success you have along the way. Because, like, for me, if I don't have a goal with a deadline, I'll just like meander along. It's a bit like driving without a map to somewhere that, you know, I don't know the route. So you say that, and like you need something to keep pushing you forward. What helps you to keep going when you think, I know I want to go on?
Right, you couldn't be further from you couldn't be more on point than this. As a business, we were pretty much right at the bleeding edge of KPIs and drivers, and I knew within a nat's chuff of everybody's data that they had to do personally for them to get a goal. And we used to use one size fits all, and it wasn't that. And then people work in different ways and different drivers, and their conversion rates are slightly different. So we basically ripped it up. And the only time I ever look at a KPI now in a board, and I do 32 odd boards, is once a month if I'm looking for a training need. So is someone really bad at beer recruitment? Never use recruitment terms. If they're sending out a lot of CVs, not getting interviews, it's either a really shit job or you're sending out rubbish, or you've got no control. And all of those three things I can make you slightly better at. I just needed that data to decide that. But I'd never measure you or manage you on that. So my small goals every day, I used to do 4 2-hour sprints.
Okay.
So imagine the best person in the business. He walks in like, you know, he walks in like he's Ed Sheeran and goes, I want to get what's in my head out into your activity. So what would I do if I was doing your job over the next 2 hours to get closer to making money? And we set cadence, numbers, data, stats, ask you anything. If you had a cup of tea, have you had a wee? Do you need a smoke? Do you want me to make you a coffee? Are we good? Right, on the count of 3, you're off. Yeah. Now, as the manager, I've given him a very specific goal. It's really relevant because it's out of my head, so it's going to be good. He knows what good looks like, so it's an opportunity for me to catch people doing things well. So there's praise due in 2 hours' time if you've done this, and it's just a 2-hour window. But if you're not working as hard as somebody over here in those 2 hours, I can see it, and so can you. So one of the apps that I built is called Sprint R. And it's we're very close to launch, but it's the idea. But every manager can set tasks for his team. They agree it together. The recruiter in my world wins coins. Coins get promotions, so it's gamified. So they become an admiral in a day. If they've done all 4 tasks they needed to do, they become an admiral for the day. And then tomorrow they start going backwards or going up to be a sea lord. So it's gamified to hill. I can get businesses to have pirate wars, which is genius. And because the logo is grey, we've called it 50 Shades of Great, because I just thought it'd be funny. So we're having loads of fun with it, but sprinting, you will get so much more out of your business, but also the best people in the business are sharing all of their knowledge and insights. If not, people aren't having to make it up all by themselves.
I like that a lot. Sprints work really well. They give you a dedicated, focused period of time to just get shit done. That, you know, there's no distractions. If you think about our life now, you've got, how many phones have you got, and laptops and like notifications and different social media apps? It's like ping, 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 ping. And I'm just like, leave me the fuck alone. I want to get some work done.
But look, so there's some brilliant businesses in my world where they take mobile phones off people for a couple of hours, 2 or 3 times a day, so they can actually just focus on the job in hand. And it's really good for your mental health, by the way. Yeah. Just taking away that distraction. Otherwise, you end up doing a task and then being distracted like a little magpie. I've also got the best PA in the world, by the way. So Emma will say, show me your stuff to do list. And then she'll go off, and she takes it off. And the idea is, if it's been on my to-do list for more than 2 weeks, it wasn't worth doing.
I agree with that.
Right. Now, and do you know what Washington is? So urgent, important, not important, not important, not urgent. So she Washington me all the time as well. And she will take out days in my diary and just say just too much. Or she'll pretty much say, we've got a massive support infrastructure at the IDLC. Yeah. So we've got colouring in, we've got video, we've got PA, EAs, finance. All of those people are just there to help Dean and I just make magic happen. Yeah. Occasionally just says too many ideas. Just stop, bro. Just go away, please. Just go play some tennis, or she'll speak to my wife. And as we are on Thursday, I'm going to Ibiza. So
Yeah.
that was organised by my PA. Nothing to do with me.
I've got two questions around this. What would you say to people starting out in terms of getting a PA and letting them let go of stuff?
Most important, if you want to guarantee success, one, be famous for one thing and don't try and do everything.
Mhm.
If you're sending a marketing letter, only say one thing on it, not 15, because nobody listens. And by the way, when was the last time anyone looked at an email that's more than a paragraph? And two, go through all the tasks that you do and put a time against it. How much time that takes for you to do, and then be honest with yourself. Why are you doing it? What's the value in me doing a menial task? So if I try and do a spreadsheet, I'll be here till 2026 and it will still be fucking wrong, but Emma can do it in 30 seconds. So buy experts, outsource everything in your business that you possibly can. Finance, marketing, take away everything. You be the person that makes sure you have a PA that says, we've got a marketing meeting in 2 days' time. This is your early warning. You need to now give me the 4 key messages that we'll build the content on. And by the way, Gary, you can't write because your spelling is atrocious. I'll do it for you. You just do the colouring in bit at the end. So that's how she plans me. But we outsourced absolutely everything. I know it's just a much smarter way to get your business from where you want. So you've got an idea in your head. How do people get that idea in your head and make it come alive? And most people have never worked for a good manager, by the way.
No.
Most people have never worked for a decent CEO who actually understands the role of the CEO that's going to drive them. So they've got no frame of reference. And for somebody who's writing a business book, I hate business books. I just think they're all absolutely crap because they all contradict each other. So choose one philosophy in life that you like. So I'm a massive fan of all the 1 minutes because it's a really good way to explain 1 Minute Manager. Gung Ho is brilliant. Never Split the Difference is the exception to the rule. When I was talking with Gerald, I talked about George Davis and his business, but that was Eat the Frog. Although I disagree entirely with the initial premise. I do the small tasks first because I'll take the big task and I will do it till 4 a.m. If it takes me till 7 or 8 a.m., I won't be able to do the small tasks. And I have to, if I'm going to do a job, I can't multitask. I have to do one thing and I just don't want clutter. If you just see my desk now, there is shitting nothing on it. I mean, there's nothing on my desk because I just can't stand clutter.
Can't cope with it. Yeah, clutter. That's interesting. A lot of people, like with the Eat That Frog, get that done before everything else. It's not necessarily that it's a bigger job, it's the thing that you keep putting off. And I find that so many people, like, they'll put off just making one phone call because they think the person at the other end of the phone is going to like bite their head off or jump down the phone at them. And this is a massive thing. So you must make a lot of phone calls. What do you do to get over this? I'm just going to pick up the phone.
Well, so I still give myself a cheat sheet as I did for this. I still write myself notes and just make sure there's the 3 or 4 things that I think are important to bring out in any call. But I don't suffer fear. The only fear I've got is fear of failure, if I'm honest. And apparently that's the worst driver to have as a business leader, because if you're fearful of something going wrong, then you never actually do anything with it. I genuinely don't believe that's the way. I'm so motivated to succeed. I work 7 days a week. Picking up, if you're fearful and scared to pick up the phone, anybody who runs a good business is a salesperson, right? Everybody, be it you're the greengrocer or you're Elon Musk, you start by being a great salesperson. And if you're not selling a product, you're selling yourself. And if you're not selling to the bank, so I know in my business, we have to be storytellers. There's the story to my clients to make them want to work with me. And it's got to be compelling. There's the story to my candidates who've got to trust in me. And then there's the story to my staff who make them believe in me. And I will do that 100 times a day so everybody else can get a chance to do it, because ultimately it just happens. So my vision for the business is never about trying to make 10 million. It's about every individual earning 100 grand, because that they can buy into. They don't give a shit about my 10 million. They give a massive shit about what happens to them. If you are really confident with your content, anyone will pick up the phone, and that initial fear factor of, well, what if? Do you know what? It's just a bit of practice, because once, and what's the worst that can happen? You're phoning up a customer that you're currently not working with, and the worst case is they carry on not working with you. Now, if you make 50 calls a day, will you get better at making those phone calls than the person who makes 5?
Absolutely.
And here's one for you, as a question back. How many times do you generally have to speak to a B2B customer prospect for them to think of you as front of mind to make you their first call next time?
There's different trains of thoughts with this, isn't it? It's like seven points of contact.
Okay, so I think it's 10 phone calls.
I
I
think it's
use
a
all the
little more than
phone.
7. And I use stuff like time bridging to get to know people faster. So, like, if I meet somebody for one afternoon, I'll try to go to 2 or 3 different places so that we've got 2 or 3 different points of memory for the next time. And then you feel like you know that person even more because you've got different points of reference.
Pub crawl, you mean?
Well, yeah, that always works.
Lads. Well, I think that's genius. I've never heard that before, and I'm totally stealing it. But I'm a massive advocate of digital marketing and automation.
Yeah.
Everything that we do, we have a bigger outreach, but it brings everyone to a single moment of truth, which is a phone call.
Mm.
Now, you've got to be good on that phone call, because tappy never makes you any money. It's talky. So doing everything you can to have more phone calls. We're driving some cadences at the moment. So if you think you can create a list and you can get data for pennies, check out Apollo. It's really good. Look out Salesfinity if you want to do parallel outbound. There's some really brilliant tools, but the ultimate aim is to have more people spend more time on the phone. And our outbound cadence, I shit you not at the moment, is in 2 hours. We want people to leave 60 voicemails.
Wow.
1 every 2 minutes.
That's intense.
Okay, now what percentage do you reckon will call me back?
5?
About 20. But
20.
I'm dropping message bombs. I'm
Right.
saying I've got your kids. If you don't come within the next 20 minutes, I'm sending body parts back. They generally pick up the phone. But if you can make somebody laugh, drop them a message, say something funny, they will call you back. Then you've got that moment, your elevator pitch. What are you going to say that's going to stop them in their tracks and go, oh, wasn't expecting that. And if you haven't got that, then you're not going to be confident enough to make the calls or make the dials. But if you want that show-off moment, get your content right. But we used to try everything. So, there's some people at the moment who've been sending a left white Air Force One in a size 10 to clients and saying, put yourself in my shoes for 2 minutes. I desperately want to work with you. Can I bring the right shoe, please? We've got people in recruitment who are sending mugs with a really small logo and it says, the only mug we'll ever send you. So trust us, we never send you mugs. Can I talk to you? And they're all asking for an 11-minute call. 10 minutes for me to tell you why I'm good, dazzle you, and 1 minute for you to decide if I'm the type of person you want to work with. And we're taking calls to be a pitch, and a pitch is an agreed next action. So we're actually getting 20% calls, of which we're getting 50% into a pitch with a definitive next action in a 2-hour sprint. Unbelievably good, but we've been working at it for about 4 years.
Yeah, that's really smart. So you've obviously got the voicemails right, the messaging right, the how to talk to these people right, and once you've got them on the phone, that conversion, I think that's the bit that most people struggle with. Like, they don't mind putting the content out, but then once they've got someone on the phone, they're like, oh, how do I convert this person?
Just make friends. I mean, ultimately, everybody wants everybody to succeed. Can you make my life easier? Now, I talk about this a lot. There are reasons why people want, there are change drivers in the world today. So organizations are either trying to make more money, you know, first mover advantage, digitization, being creative. Then you got organizations that are trying to save money. So that's, again, automation, tech over talent. Can we build efficiencies in everything that we do? Then you got compliance. So unfortunately, we get stuff like GDPR issues and whatever happens next. Then we got pivoting. So the world will change so that so Lamborghini used to be a tractor company. Prada to make suitcases. Nokia made matchsticks. The business needs to change. And if you've got more people work from home, then there's a need for cyber or people's comfort. And the latest one that every business in the world is talking about right now, every business, doesn't matter if they're making redundancy, if they're left, right, centre, they're all doing something about sustainability because they have to. So they're your big 5 drivers of change. Which one's triggering you? Now that's, you know, I'm not really one for questioning techniques on phone calls. I think that everything that we need to know is in the public domain. So we should know what this type of customer would want from us and be first to move and just say, are you tired of boring old recruitment agencies who try and place candidates with you who don't give a shit? Right? Let's punch it on the nose and then say, haha, over here, we've got a fix for that. So there's a lot of ways. The other thing to do as well is have loads of advocates in your business. So there are people out there with black books who know more people than you, who know about stuff that's going on before you even know about it, taking it out of the public domain. It costs you money for every bit of acquisition. So if it's a lead, if it's doing a piece of business, there is a cost associated with that. Why wouldn't you share that back with someone who shortcuts all of that? So I'll give you a tickle if you can help me with your leads. I'll monetize your black book.
Yeah, I absolutely right. Like your network and what doors you can open for people makes a huge difference to whether people want to work with you or not. I've definitely found that over the past, especially 5 or 6 years myself.
Yeah, there's people are willing to do it. People actually like doing things. Have you had a concession of obligation? So it's Christmas morning, and you may knock on the door, and they've got a Christmas present for you, and you haven't got one back for them, and you know that feeling in your bottom of your stomach, and you're also that blank expression. You're thinking, "Can I give away? We give them a box of chocolates." Oh. If you keep giving your market insights and intel and knowledge, and it's really easy because ChatGPT will give it to you. If you keep sharing that across social media, you'll be known as a subject matter expert. And if you keep giving it, people will eventually feel obliged to give you something back. It's human conditioning. So there's a lot of work you can do with concession of obligation. Give. It's about 6 to 1. 6 bits of outbound before you ask for something in return.
Yeah. It is so true as well. And people like to receive as well. And I think that often people like to give and they don't always know when do I ask for the sale bit? And they're worried about what will people think of me when I ask for the sale or if I ask for the sale. And like for me, I just think, well, if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Yeah. Well, what's the point? What's the point of the phone call?
Exactly. Like if you don't put the offer across, ultimately you're doing that person a disservice by not offering them, right?
Well, and you've just wasted their time. Because what was that conversation all about? So what is the worst conversation is at the end of it, they say, but what is it you do? Right, you know, we've all been there. It's just I'm talking to someone in terms that's in my business, colloquial. We know this stuff. We paraphrase internally. If you don't think, okay, I've got to talk client language, or you've got to make sure they're on the same point of reference as you. Otherwise, they will say, "Who are you?
Who are you? What's your name? What do you do? Where you from?"
Yeah. I used to be called Backpage Gary, by the way. It was a really big thing for me. You do all of this work in terms of automation and having calls. And now I think in 2 hours, 2 weeks, or 2 months' time, they might say, "Who's that brilliant bloke? He was very funny, very engaging. I want to work with him. What was his name?" And it did my head in. I thought, well, I'm making all these phone calls. How do I change that? So BPG, I used to say, So Natalie, can you just, whatever you use, a diary, daybook, something in front of you, can you just flip to the back page? You're going to love this. Right. I need you to write down. Okay. Well, everyone's going to get my mobile now. I need you now to write down my mobile number, because there might be a time when people leave you. I know I can't find it hard to believe, but they might just leave you, or there's something going on that you need some help with, or you're going into a management meeting, you'd like some information or some data, or you just want to vent and talk to me and shout at me rather than kick the dog, or you want, you want a joke. What you call none of the world, yeah? Virgin Mobile. So I'm going to ask you to write down my number. So Gary Goldsmith, BPG 075,000 18489. Now I'm going to ask you to read it back to me, and I know you haven't read it down, so if you wouldn't mind, I'll go slower. Gary Goldsmith 075,000 18489. Can you put BPG next to it? If somebody comes in and gives notice today, you need some help with recruitment, who are you going to call?
Backpage Gary.
Backpage Gary. I'll be Gary Goldsmith. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Right. And every time I sent any email out, I was BPG. That was a game changer for me, because I just thought I've been remembered. But I also had quite a lot of energy, right? That's quite a lot of confident call. You can't do that if you're a Minnie Mouse.
No. What gave you the confidence to do that?
Just doing it. I think what's the worst thing that can happen? I just didn't ever see a downside.
I think that's a really good question, because a lot of people, they won't do it because they think, oh, what is the worst that could happen? And they imagine the world imploding around them.
There's the truth is, a lot of people used to say to me, but I'm protecting my brand. And I say, so how many clients have you got, or prospects on your CRM today? What number? And they go 10,000. Like, brilliant, well done. How many of them actually gave you money last year? It goes 28. What the fuck are you worried about? What are you trying to protect? No one knows you.
Yeah.
You've got it. I have quite strong opinions on LinkedIn. And the reason for doing it is, what beige gives you nothing. So if you align yourself to something and you're quite strong-willed with it, you will win more fans than people get switched off about. And actually, if they switch off, oh, I've got 10,000, I don't care.
They're not your people anyway, are they?
They're not my people.
Exactly.
So I always think it's quite important just to put yourself out there and have an opinion as opposed to sitting on the fence.
Well, you get splinters up your bum if you sit on the fence anyway.
But you can have fun with it, right? So I used to phone up people and just drop jokes just on their voicemails. What's the worst that can happen? And then they just remember you. And the idea is transferring love for brand into first to mind. Now, how do I be that first thought? Because that's where the money's made, and that's where the best deals are. Being the first call, not the 15th.
Being the first thought. Is that partly why you started your podcast?
Lovely segue. So this is the vanity project. I'm a media whore, and I thought, why not? And it's basically my gateway to getting on. I'm a celebrity. So let's put all that straight out there. I've got a very eclectic group of friends. So I've been writing a book, which is like an A to Z of being a mentalist entrepreneur. So loads and loads of tips, A's, B's, C's. C's were colourful. And then we've done quite a lot of work on this, and I wanted a way by which I showcased it. And people were saying, you've got such an eclectic group of mates. So the manager of Fatboy Slim, Pete Tong and Madness, and then Gerald, and a royal correspondent, and the one that drops tomorrow is Logan. He first time I met him said, I've got cancer, and I need to change my stars to look after my family because nobody knows what's going to happen. And 3 weeks before we did the podcast, he got a check. He says 9 figures, but it was 109 million. And he's a massive advocate of the church, and he's just different. And he just talks about his story and his journey. And it's one of those that I find it difficult to take the piss out of him, because I'm just so in awe of him. But then I've got Rob Lee as a footballer, and I've got a football agent. So it's just this eclectic bunch of people. And the idea was, pints of you. I get to do it in my local pub. which is where Nigel Farage drinks, but randomly.
Excellent.
It's good fun. There's pub noises. There's vans and cars beeping out the front, which we call the Marylebone lie detector. It's TGI Friday, Stephen Bartlett on a budget. It's funny. I hope people have seen a few because it's a bit random. And it gives me a vehicle just to have a bit of release. It's another job that Emma just loves, hates it. But because it's really hard, you have to do 3 in a day and you have to stay straight because you can't do it. So it's working out pretty well. We're really happy with it. What it leads to, nobody knows, but it's a great vehicle for me to launch the book. But we're already filming season 2.
Nice.
And we've got season 3 in the pipe. But I'm off to Ibiza on Thursday. I was hoping to get Tony Trimman, who's a mate from Ocean Beach down.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure we can get the cameraman there.
Just put him on a plane, it'll be fun. Talk to me, why Ibiza?
So I found Ibiza late. I found Ibiza at 40, and I think that was Ibiza's loss. So I've certainly made up for lost time. We stayed at the Hacienda 1 year, stayed in Villa next year, and the 3rd year I bought myself a house, which had that horrible name. So the name was originally the Maison de Bang Bang, which was reported everywhere. I didn't even come up with it. It's a great mate of mine called Mike Smith, who said it was banging house music, Gary. Let's call it Maison de Bang Bang.
Oh lordy!
All right. I won't tell you the names that didn't get on the short list, but it's now changed. So it's Tesoro de Oro, and we're there for the month, and we've got loads of pirates coming out for last week. Thank you for our loving partners who all give us some space to, without, I would say, like, behind every successful man, there's an awful lot of shopping. So our better halves are all coming out, and then we do conference where you just sit around a pool with a pina colada and you just put the world to rights. It's just nice being with like-minded people, and we collaborate at that point, and it works really well.
I love that. I'm a massive advocate of being, in the sun by the sea. I moved to Mallorca in 2011. I lived in Barbados for a little while, and then now I run an annual retreat. So we did the UK, Barbados, Mallorca. We're doing Mallorca again next year. I didn't discover Ibiza until I was 34, when I realised I was adult enough to not die.
Well, I'm done, but it still happens. But look, we're a different set these days. So we're all clean and serene, and all that nut, and that's where I got done by the fake shake. And I was far from an innocent when all that happened. Far from an innocent, but they brought stuff into your house and they just total entrapment. It's just horrific. So, but these days it's lunches and boats to Formentera. It's not going mental. But I live just above the Blue Marling, so you get your dose of it occasionally. And
you need a little bit of noise sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's really good fun. And to be fair, it's just we go out of season, so there's a reason why we didn't go in August, apart from the fact that we rented out to mad sweet people. But we go out at a different time because it's a slightly different vibe. So we love Easter, we love Christmas, and we love late season. So it's kind of cool.
The same in Mallorca. Like, we moan when it's winter, is it summer yet? And then by August it's too hot, there's too many tourists, and is it winter yet? And like, we love it when there's no tourists around, because it's quiet and you can do what you want, and there's like no like drama and noise, and it's just,
you can get a table. You can get a table.
Get a table.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. I've never been. Majorca.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been there. But Dean's, my business partner's got a house there, so he's there all the time.
Ah, you shall have to visit.
He's the grown-up one of the couple. I'm the mentalist. If you think Back to the Future, I'm the nutty professor, and he's the guy who gets the girl. That's how it kind of works.
How how do you feel about being in the press with your royal connections?
Well, it's I never asked for it, which is part of the battle.
Yeah.
It just landed there one day. One day it
Mhm.
wasn't. I threw across a little note to Bill in a board meeting because my sister phoned me and said it's about to break tomorrow. That Kate's dating William, and I just bored in a main proper grown up S3 board. Wrote, I'm going to be the future uncle to the Queen, and he's just gone, stop, everybody, what are you on? And I just told him the story. Went many a slip between cup and lip, but who knew it would happen, right? So that was the first news they were dating. It's kind of hard because it does put you in the spotlight, and
Mm.
I don't think I've done things that people haven't done. It's just that it's a little bit of baiting, right? They'll always give you a hard time if they possibly can, and I'm a very easy target, and I'm rhino skin, so it does totally 100% not in a million years bothers me. I get protective about the others around me.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was, but the first time that any new story here, the first thing we got was Carol was saying, Kate's actually gutted for you, you're right. So that was all very protective, but with this, let's be honest, right? So again, I'm hardly an innocent, but the way things are going, Andrew, Harry, Meghan, the way I'm going to make the five-side team at this rate. So I'm
Mhm.
quite. It's yeah. There's plenty ahead of me now who've let themselves down more than what I ever did, and I've never said a bad thing about the family. I'm a massive royalist, massive advocate, and Kate is just perfection. So I love them dearly.
That's really nice.
Yeah, but don't tell everyone because I've got an image.
But this goes out to
Bitches.
thousands of people a week, so
I'm a big Ross again, but the S3 guys, they're all massive Republicans. I went to the royal wedding, went to Kate's wedding, and on the way back, I went to Russell's house for an anti-royal party. So like, you have to have your yin and yang.
yeah.
So yeah, the Republicans took over the evening, but it was quite fun.
What was the most fun part about that?
Um, I got to buy a really expensive suit, and that was really good fun. It was. We're in church, and you had Tara Palmer in front of us. We had the Beckhams at 11 o'clock. It was just everybody you could possibly imagine was there on that day, and it was just such a joyful experience of being on the streets. It was beautiful, and I think there's a real soft spot for William and what Kate has done. And then there was Pippagate. So there was
Mm.
all those great things that were going on. And it was really funny. I got to meet Mike Tyndall, and Camilla came over and said hello. So it was a really, really cool day.
Yeah.
Um, all in all. It's just, just imagine now that everyone's just got a spotlight on you. So whatever you do, it's yeah,
Do
and
you
I don't
think
really
that's helped or hindered you?
with all the stories, I mean, there's been some horrific ones. I've never lost a member of the IDLC.
Hmm.
I've never lost a friend. Um, and to be fair, people just rally around, and I think it's they know me as me rather than this caricature that is made up in the press. I think Rob Jobson actually on the Pints of View podcast last week was very generous about it. And right at the end, he just said that you're really badly treated, and just invited me to the National Press Association's October ball. So I must be doing something right because I'm
You're
still
doing
mates with
something
these
right.
people. So it's all right. And it was quite funny. The bill did say that single-handedly thought I could bring down the monarchy. And while we were away in Monaco, he did say, "Well, you gave it a good go. You choose your friends."
You can choose your friends or the family you choose.
Yes. Well, yeah, there you go. Well, I'm really fortunate. I'm blessed with a lot of really cool people around me.
Yeah.
So that's important.
What's next on the cards for you then?
Um, so we're So IDLC is growing. There's a really interesting time when people want to network or be around like-minded people. So it's either when you're doing really, really well and want to show off, you're stagnant and you're plateauing and you want people to give you some fresh ideas, or things have turned to shit, right? They're the three big trigger points, and we've got all three going on with everyone at the moment. So IDLC is expanding. We're trying to do more and more. Clients Review is going on, so we're up to season 3, which is funny given we've only put 4 out yet. But you know, we're getting them in. We're getting them in the tin early, and
Good.
it's because I'm enjoying doing it. It's quite good fun. I'm building out apps. Oh yeah, I'm still doing 36 non-exec gigs. I'm still doing more of those. So that's a really big part of my life. So it's been a support device for a lot of people. But I think the most fun thing is I decided to build some apps, and I'd never done it before. And it's just, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I'm properly not a Scooby. It's like, I want to build a piece of tech that does this. Go. So we found a team. They're brilliant. They quiz me to death. We talk pretty much every other day. They're off doing it. So the first one is helping people do the sprints with the Pirates and the what's it. The other one is the business to help value businesses called Val-U. Why do people find it so hard to get a name? That was genius. So they're both a long way into production. So hopefully to be launched middle of next month. And we think this will just help people. So again, if you can value your business, and it will tell you the 3 or 4 things. You're yawning. Don't be bored of me yet. You're fighting that off. You're fighting that off like a good one. It's the Chelsea thing, isn't it?
I have insomnia and terrible sleep issues. So it's not ever that I'm bored. I am just always tired.
Brilliant. I'm always tired, but that's because I'm old and fat.
I'm not old and fat.
So the idea is that if you can see from doing like a Wonga, it will tell you the 3 things that you can actually try to change that impacts shareholder value, what your company's worth. And so I went around to the 50 odd VCs that I know and say, what's missing? And we nailed it. So, but I got loads of lunches out of it, caught up with some really great mates. So the guy from Barclays who originally put 50 million into S3 as a hedge, where we all bought boats and planes and houses. So he was good value. Paul Goodson, God bless you, Silver Fox. And I've had a lot of fun recently. But what's next is Ibiza, away with everybody I do a non-exec gig with comes over for a couple of days. So I cook breakfast, we work till 2, partners are in the pool, then we go to the beach. So it's my way of thanking everyone for working with me. And then at the end of that, all the pirates come to Ibiza and we go on boats.
I love it. I absolutely love that. That's the life for me, as they say.
Yeah, so the Maison de Bang Bang. Yeah, rethink that, G.
When you talk to people, is there anything ever that I wish you'd asked me that?
No, I think, yeah, you could hear that, couldn't you? Do you know, I was going to do a little thing about my daughter because who's the best bloke you ever met in your life? For it's my dad, because he was the nicest, kindest, sweetest bloke in the world. And we're both Taurians, so I don't believe in horoscopes because he's the antithesis. I'm evil. I work at it. My dad was the loveliest man in the world. And the proudest thing that I've ever done is have my daughter, who's better than me in every possible way. And she's just spectacular, and she will change the world. She will change the world 100%.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to hold on to my daughter's shirt tails and just see where that goes. So they're the people, and Julianne, my wife, who just basically puts up with so much shit. I am a mentalist, so she just lets me get on with it quite a lot.
At least you found your person that will put up with your mentalness.
There is that, yeah. Well, it's not Joe Public, is it? So no, it's Julianne. So yeah, the people in my life who are the most important to me. Oh, can I show you one? Look,
of course you can.
Yeah. Right, so here he is now. Look, of course I've got a 2 hour. We did the colouring ourselves. Bleach in a microwave. No,
sorry.
Bleach in a microwave. everyone can get this colour match at home. He's very cool. He's very old.
What's his name?
I was going to have Cheech and Chong because they're Mexicans, which I thought was congenius, but I didn't think it was appropriate at the time to be around Regent's Park going Cheech, Chong.
Probably not.
Cheech and Tequila.
Tequila.
So they're still Mexican. Yeah, brilliant. How have I done?
Absolutely amazing. How do you feel like you've done? Do you feel like you've got everything across that you wanted to?
I just think that people oh no, there's one thing that I think everyone's got to take note of. It is an absolute privilege to run a company. You're responsible for not only your own personal wealth and health, your family, but a lot of people are relying on you to pay their mortgages and keep them healthy and wealthy too. If you happen to come into the office one day and you've got a face like thunder, fuck off. Because there's no room for that in the business. You've got to be the happiest person, the most consistent person, and be absolutely on fire. Because the job you've got is an absolute privilege. And if you don't think like that, if it's like, I'm the hardest worker here, I'm doing all the jobs, you need to get over yourself and get a PA and help you achieve that. Because the bigger the business gets, trust me, you're working harder. So if you've got a business of 10 people, you think you're working hard, strap in, because that ain't nothing. It gets more challenging, more difficult. But if you're not going to do it with a smile on your face, don't do it.
I think you're absolutely right there, because people will look up to you and boss, what's going on there, what's the vibe, and if they want to stay or not.
Just make it a culture where it's cool to be good and everything else takes care of itself.
Where can people follow you, find you, and online stalk you? Because we're a fan of online stalking here, just not in-person stalking.
Okay. Gary Goldsmith, LinkedIn, RDLC. So you'll find me there. Pints of You. You can't not find me on it's Gary Goldsmith with one R on LinkedIn. I don't do anything else because I think it's evil. So I don't touch Facebook. I only follow about 5 people on Insta, and they're all my best mates. But I just don't like it all. So LinkedIn for business. And if you reach out to me, if you got my phone number, because it was there, if you reach out to me, you want anything, I will come straight back to you. My philosophy in life, I'll leave you with that. My philosophy in life is be owed a favour, not a fiver, and I'll do pretty much anything for everyone.
Oh, that's so nice. I like that. Owe a favour, not a fiver. If you could leave people with one tip to increase their confidence, what would it be?
Note take before you do anything. Plan your day. So last thing at night, I always choose what I'm wearing the next day, down to pants and socks, because whilst I'm doing it, I'm planning that day, and it prompts me to think about it. So I've had to look at diary, and I'm already thinking about the next day. And I get up silly early, even if I need to roll back over, but I will write some notes about that day, so I feel like I'm prepared. And if I'm prepared, I'm all right. I'm not going to stand up and try and sing a Eurovision if I don't know the words. So why do you think you're going to be good in the office? So, and also, cheap line still. If you've got influencers in your business, make sure you tell them the secret messages first and buy their love so that they will support with whatever you're trying to achieve. So, yeah. Just cheap.
Buy people's love.
Buy people's love. There you go.
On that note, I'm going to go empty my bank account.
Brilliant. That was fun, Angel. Thank you very much for letting me talk about my favourite subjects.
Thank you very much for joining us. Everybody that's listening, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please do find Gary on LinkedIn. Listen to his Pints of You podcast. And if you found this interesting, please share it with your friends, family, loved ones, and even the people that you don't like, because everybody needs some help every now and then, don't they?
From Stamford Bridge to Wembley.
I'm going to have to cut this bit out.
Brilliant.
Thank you ever so much for joining us, and everyone that's listening, we shall see you on the next one.